Hi everyone, and welcome to the Scratticus Academy. We are back with some Redwall, and I'm so excited to be back for this. My God. First of all, please check out all the links that are coming up in chat now. You can find our Discord, YouTube, merch, you name it. You can find all those links there. Also, a huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors in the form of Bird in the Storm and also Mage Hand Press. You can find all their links below, and so please check them out. Otherwise, I'm going to hand over to the very lovely Rachel so that we can dive back into this awesome adventure.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Heroes of Redwall. We had a little break last week, but that's fine. It's given me time to do a lot of writing and a bit more world building, which I'm really excited to bring to everyone. So without further ado, let's quickly go around the table. And everyone just tell us a little bit about who you're playing and who you are. We're going to start on screen left for me right now with our wonderful Lady Anastasia. Take you.
Hello. My name is Angeli, otherwise known as Geek Girl Bookworm. You'll find me today playing Lady Anastasia Tiddywinkle. She is a noble hedgehog lady and forced to be reckoned with. If you try and sneak around her, she'll see you, she'll catch you, she'll hit you with her shears. Yes, I'm Geek Girl Bookworm. You can find me everywhere online, all of the places as Geek Girl Bookworm, including Twitch. I have my own Twitch channel now. It's very exciting. I do paintings, but come see. Yeah, that's me.
Fantastic. Okay, going around the table, the digital table, as it were. Next up with our wonderful Asher the Badger.
Hi everybody, I am Derek Sword. I play Asher the Badger, although that may not be his real name. We'll find out in this game. Asher has just made it back to what he's told is his home and has been hugged by who he believes is his mother. It's a very emotional moment for him. Other than that, yeah, I'm really excited to see what this session pulls out. It's going to be really exciting. Besides that, you can find me on Twitter at dsword16, and there I post about dogs and travel and RPG and stuff like that. And then you can also catch me Tuesdays, actually next Tuesday is probably going to be our last Greyhawk game on the Greyhawk channel, where we've time traveled and met aliens. So that's fun.
Fantastic. And last but certainly not least, our wonderful, precious, good otter, Holt.
He is a good otter. Hi, I'm Alice. I'm also White Rabbit Pick. As you know, you're going to find me here a lot. Otherwise, I play Holt, a big, good, chunky otter boy that is probably top heavy, has no control over his tail, and just happy to be here, enjoys his drink, his food, and his sleep, and his friends now. So, yeah, I love it. I can't wait.
Fantastic. And then I suppose there is me. I am Talanir. I also have my own Twitch channel now where I do art streams. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter with the same moniker. I do a lot of kind of tabletop RPG artwork. And of course, you can find me here every week at this time running Heroes of Redwall as we port the wonderful world of Redwall by Brian Jacques into tabletop RPGs, because it really deserves to be, because it's a great setting. So, without further ado, I think it's time we kick off this evening's session, if everyone is ready. The party are celebrating the return of the lost Lord Ashfell, and it lasts long into the night. Like all hare parties, food takes center stage, with endless supplies of hot mushroom and leek turnovers, scores of root vegetable and onion gravy pies, woodland stew, and even some shrimp and hot root soup provided for the otter and those with more adventurous tastes. This was followed by an even more extravagant dessert course of strawberry and meadow cream cakes, the chef's lemon meringue surprise, and barrels of October ale and raspberry fizz. You dine in the great feasting hall of Salamander Stron, an immense cavern hewn from the stone of the mountain itself. About a short 2 to 5 minute walk down from the main entrance, where you were greeted and almost immediately ushered off to celebration. All of you find your glasses constantly refilled and your plates heaped high with food every time you manage to clear it. You are given the honor of sitting at the top table. The Badger Lady Hilda Silverstripe seated at the head of this table, with the four of you taking either side. Asher is given pride of place at the right hand of the Badger Lady. Holt, you sit at the left. Gruber is sitting next to you, Holt, and Lady Anastasia, you sit on Asher's other side. The Hares of the Mountain are seated along several very long bench-style tables that stretch down the length of the room, and the noise is deafening. Many bring along instruments, and you are treated to songs and dances that Asher recalls vaguely, each more outrageous than the last. Swiftpaw, the young hare doe, is eagerly telling the tale of her brother's heroic rescue to anyone who will listen, and indeed many of the hares give you looks of respect and reverence. A few of the older veterans seem a little more reserved, but the fact that their lady has accepted you seems to make you honoured guests without question. As the dessert course begins to calm down a little, the Badger Lady turns her huge striped muzzle to the four of you and smiles. Now, it seems at last one can hear each other without having to shout. I think, my son, and your companions, it is time you told me your story.
Our story isn't exactly what you would call complete at this time. As far back as we know, we washed up knowing who we were and not much else on a beach. We had some scrapes, a few narrow misses, were helped by some very friendly hedgehogs, and were rescued, I suppose, by the wonderful hares here. I have to be honest, my memory still isn't complete in any way, and I'm still trying to piece things together.
She smiles as she looks at you and nods very slowly. We have ways of addressing the gaps in your memory. But what of the rest of you? What are your tales? Do you remember any more than my son? At this point, by the way, Gruber, who thankfully, and it seems after an extraordinarily long snooze, woke up just as you were escorted into the feasting hall, is now starting to snooze a little bit after the weight of all the food consumed, just slowly drifting off in this high-backed chair that the very small mole takes up a very small amount of space upon. As she looks at Holt and Anastasia, not wanting to disturb the snoozing mole too much.
Holt sort of pauses, and he's sort of like mid about to put something else in his mouth as he's asked the question, and he slowly sort of puts it down, straightens up a little bit, like rubs his hands like just on his fur, or if there's a napkin nearby, sort of wipes his mouth. He's like, that's pretty much it. And he looks like he's about to say mate, and then he pauses. He's like, Milady, I think. It's pretty much it. I mean, I think I ran a lot. We've been having dreams, real weird ones, but you know, just. And he's sort of shrugging with his big shoulders. He doesn't really know how to address anyone, because to his memory, he never has. But you could see him sitting upright every now and then, just checking on his friends to see how they are doing. He's like, but I'm pretty sure I was a bag carrier.
I see. Strange dreams, you say? That is unusual for your people, Otter. I am familiar only with visions of prophets tend to appear in my own kind, and occasionally they are known to come to foxes. And I have heard one or two rumors of such strange occurrences east of here. There is an abbey which is guarded by a particularly active spirit which can come to those in dreams. But to hear it of those who seemingly have no memory of where they were prior to their current predicament is interesting indeed. What of you, Lady Hedgehog? May I ask your name?
And Lady Anastasia is completely unable to talk because she's not, in fact, noble, and therefore this is very uncomfortable for her. Pretty sure people are going to know she's a super fraud by talking. She's just nodded.
Holt's leaning over the table to look down to see what is happening.
Yeah, you see that a lot of the hares have also kind of leant forward in their seats to look at you, Anastasia.
Right.
I think the lady's just too modest. She, royalty, I believe, she at least has that, she carries herself as such, and she's been beyond brave in our many encounters on our way here. I vouch for her in all cases.
You see Lady Hilda kind of laughs, this very deep, rumbling belly laugh that she has. You do not need to vouch for the hedgehog, my son. I am convinced by your tale that she is no doubt a valorous creature. Although I am curious, I have not heard of any lines of hedgehog royalty in this region. Perhaps further to the north, maybe. I have heard there are warrior kings of the hedgehog clans that way, but that is some long distance from here, and she does bear the lineage of the Woodlanders. But no doubt you are all afflicted by this memory loss. And within time, I do hope that you are all able to recollect what you have lost. In the meantime, I can only ensure that you are all made as comfortable as I possibly can. And I do hope you will all enjoy your stay here with us at Salamanderstron. And as to what comes next, well, you must excuse me, for I have to attend a war council with my generals to discuss the threat of this horde that lies on our doorstep and marches steadily east, after which I will need to speak to you, my son. There is much we have to discuss. And then to you all, and as she says this, she motions to the four of you. There are things that the four of you and myself must speak of. We must talk about what it is you are to do onwards from this point. Of course, you are not obliged to perform any duty that you are not comfortable with. Goodness knows you have already been through a lot to come to this place. However, it seems there are greater things at stake, and perhaps they bear discussing. Until then, and you see this huge badger lady slowly brings herself to her feet. Until then, I must adjourn to the council. I trust you will be entertained in my absence. And Ashfell, I will come and find you when the meeting is over, and there is something I must talk to you about specifically in private.
Am I not joining you with the council?
I will not burden you with such things after you have just arrived. No, and indeed I believe the rest of my long patrol have far more duties they require of you yet. And she kind of casts a paw over this sea of hares who are all looking up at you with wide eyes, wanting to hear more about your adventures. Don't worry, however, I will be speaking with you very soon. You have my word. Until then, please relax, eat and drink as much as you wish, and recuperate yourselves after your tiring journey. You deserve all the rest that you can take at this time. Do not burden your minds with more heavy things at this time. I will see you soon. And she begins to make her way to the side of the room. And through a large door that seems to be carved with likenesses of many hares decked out in the armor of the long patrol that takes her away from this huge central feasting hall. And you see several of the more veteran hares that were on the tables closer to the top of the room where you were have also got to their feet and are heading in that direction.
Bolt is like, he's got a big bowl of this hot shrimp soup, which he's got currently tipped up as he tries to drain the last of it, and you can hear that slurp, and you can see that sort of the residue on the whiskers as he moves, and you see it sort of halt, stop suddenly and put it down, as he's like, I'm not supposed to be slurping really, am I? Is that manners?
As you say that, you see about a group of younger hares who are sitting on one of the lower tables from you, have just been watching in like reverence, and immediately try to do the same thing with their bowls, and there's just a cascade of hot spicy soup all over the tables.
Yeah, he's watching them, and he's trying to work out if they're copying him, and every now and then we'll just move the bowl in a different mode to see how much they're copying him. He's like,
Some of them seem to be copying you quite closely, making a bit of a game of it, just kind of having a good time. It's probably, you get the impression these enormous feasts happen not regularly, but usually to celebrate some quite joyous occasion.
So I slowly put the bowl down, rests back in the chair, and looks over to his badger friend. He's like, so am I supposed to bow to you now, mate?
I have no idea. Let's say no. Just
I can.
Yeah, going forward, just no.
Of course.
It's probably for the best you don't. I honestly no. Let's keep this. You and me equals. Everyone here.
Oh, okay. So I don't have to call you like my lord or anything like that.
Please don't. Please. This is all just. It's still just a little. It feels like an old coat. It fits. It just doesn't feel right yet.
I've never really had a coat, so I couldn't tell you what that felt like.
Imagine an article of clothing and replace that with coat.
And he sort of looks down at his waistcoat, which he's worn his entire life, and he's like, you can see he doesn't get it, but he's like, yeah, no, I get you, mate.
Yeah.
Imagine your waistcoat, but with sleeves. That's a coat.
Oh, but then it wouldn't. That's awful. I'd ruin the whole feel of it. Where would my arms go? Like any sort of, you see these massive arms that would definitely probably break sleeves that fit.
You hear a few of the smaller hares suddenly start talking in hushed whispers, something about some kind of strong otter exercise routine, and start also copying like your arm motions.
He'll continue to do it for a little bit just to see them do it.
They've kind of now organized themselves in kind of a 3x5 line and are doing it like some kind of yoga class.
I made you carry my bags. I made you my servant. You're royalty.
The Lord's not carry
I would
bags.
argue.
No, that's why I had you carry my bags, because I was, too posh.
Oh.
I would argue that you just asked in a not as nice as you could way. It was a request. I had the option to say no.
Very loud in a very not nice way. I am mortified. Mortified. I can't even talk to you.
Wake up on a beach. I just figured you had sand in the wrong places. I wasn't going to make a thing out of it. It's fine. Don't worry.
I do worry. Very
That's
much.
true.
What if your mum asks me something about you, and then I say, I made him carry my bags? She'll think I'm an idiot.
I think she'll probably laugh.
Well, she scares me. I don't want to talk to her.
That seems all right. Seems all right. And just keeps nodding, looking in the direction as she leaves.
Yeah, the door has kind of closed behind her now, and the revelry has perked back up again. Now it's mostly the younger regiment that's been left behind, and there's certainly a bit more chaos now that most of the veterans and generals and higher ranked heirs have been called into this meeting. You see lots of them playing pipes. One of them has this ridiculous looking instrument which has drums, strings, about 5 different ways of making sounds, all being played by one hair, and a group of them have kind of gathered around this individual and are singing and clapping along. Yet more food is being brought out of the kitchens. There are now kind of post-dessert things being passed around, such as mint wafers and refreshing cordials of loads of different flavors. And hares are constantly coming up to your table to offer you something else to try. And there are lots of hares here that seem to brew their own ales and cordials, who are very, very interested in getting an outsider to do a taste test.
Holt is very happy to oblige. Everything that comes past, he's like, thank you. Like literally taking a pile up on his plate because he thinks he needs to have everything that comes past.
And by this point, Gruber is just fallen asleep with a very round belly in his chair, just completely relaxed and dozing to the world.
I'm sort of like propping him up every time he slips a little bit, just like trying to make sure he stays upright. I'm sorry if my lighting goes off. My cat is currently attacking. But Holt pauses after a while. Normally he's going to have something in his mouth, and he's going to look to the others with like a mouthful of maybe cheese and cordial in one hand. He's like, so, if you're Lord, what the hell does that make us if we don't know what we are yet? Maybe I'm a Lord. Are there Otter Lords? Like, and he sort of drifts off, having a bit of a thought. And he's like,
roll a lore test, Holt, as you start thinking like, hold on, do otters have nobility?
Lore test, yes I can.
It's been a while, but we're back at the rolling game.
Oh my god. Oh my, yes we are. Yes we are.
Which everybody does have advantage, by the way. I think we forgot that.
You've gone 2 nat ones.
Yeah, Holt, you're pretty sure that if badgers have an enormous mountain with their own several hundred hare personal guards, it's only reasonable to assume that otters must do somewhere as well. But maybe like some kind of underwater cave system with a vast empire underneath the forests, maybe.
And he sort of sat there.
You start doing your own world building in your head of...
He obviously looks like he's now pondering. He's taking a bite out of like some bread or something every now and then, or like one of the tarts that's left over that he's sort of swiped. He's like, no, I might be a lord. We never know. I didn't know you were one, and you're a lady. So, I mean, it only makes sense that I'm probably one.
Yes, that is what makes sense. We are all lords and ladies here.
I am sat at the head table.
If you think about it.
I mean, that may be why we were all kidnapped.
Exactly. Why we were all together in the first place.
Exactly. Can't be commoners and be friends.
Makes so much sense.
Hmm.
So was I your bag carrier even though I could have been a lord?
Sure. Maybe
Right.
maybe you had to do some menial task to make retribution for kicking a servant. I don't know.
Or you were showing off your strength.
You think I did something wrong?
No, as I said it, that sounded false.
If I did it by
I don't think you're
accident.
capable of doing something wrong. Yeah, I mean, you could have accidentally knocked a servant down the stairs with your tail.
And you see like this like turmoil across his face. Oh my god. Like thinking that he may have actually done something like this.
As you're having this kind of horrible realization, you do feel something from behind you, and then a yelp as one of the hares who was passing more drinks around does trip over your tail.
I'm sorry. And he sort of stands up and almost knocks some of the stuff in front of him over, tries to catch it and tries to help this hare. And he's like, I'm really sorry, mate. Okay, I didn't even...
No. Please, halt, sir. Do not worry about a thing. You see the size of these feet? I trip over everything.
Never been called sir before, but thank you very much.
You know what happens, when you get a pair of big feet like this and a big tail like that, there's gonna be some tripping going on.
Yeah, there is. And again, that clock of, that makes sense. It's the process of trying to figure out, and he sort of slowly sits.
Now, I didn't spill any cordial on your coat now, did I, sir?
No, I think, and he's sort of like, just like checking, but not showing, almost trying to do it discreetly.
You see, this hare kind of checks over and says, no, I don't think even I could have spilt it that high up. How's the weather up there?
And he was, we're inside, mate.
The hare just kind of laughs for a minute and says, never mind, I'll be back with some fresh cordial in a minute. And he kind of hops off.
And
he was making a comment about...
I'm just going to be out for 2 seconds. I'll be right back.
Yeah, and Holt sort of leans over towards Asher and is like, am I, like, that tall? Is it weird tall?
That's actually kind of odd, considering we're around other badgers.
But I'm an otter.
True, but even, I'm taller than you are. A little bit.
What is the weather like up here?
Balmy, maybe, it's, nice, I suppose. A soft breeze.
I'll have to remember that to tell him next time. And he sort of looks back to the hare, taking it very seriously.
The hare seems to have just gone along with his day, doesn't seem to be worried about anything. You get the impression that these creatures are they just kind of live their lives and don't worry too much about a lot of things. There's a very carefree atmosphere going on right now. And as the evening carries on and you applied with more foods to try and more drinks to sample, a few hares come up to you after a little while, after about 20 minutes to half an hour. And these ones are carrying instruments or dressed in fantastically colourful clothing. And you get the impression that not every hare living at Salamanderstron is part of the Long Patrol. There seem to be just as many that specialise in other arts or other professions. And these hares address you all with a slight bow. Good sirs and gentle lady, we were hoping feverishly that you might regale those of us gathered here with tales of your grand adventures that you undertook on your way to Salamanderstron. We heard that you encountered the Phobist on your journeys here.
I killed a toad.
She did.
Astounding! Please, and we heard of the gallant rescue of one of our own, and there's a cheer goes up from one of the tables further down as Haffington, who is still rather bandaged and looking quite fragile, kind of raises a paw. We heard of the gallant rescue and of your immeasurable skills in espionage in rescuing him. Could you tell us the tale of how you managed this? We love stories here.
Asher stands up and he kind of straightens his doublet and he goes, let me tell you a tale. A tale of Holt the hero. He muddied himself and ragged himself and strolled right into the enemy camp, past guards left and guards right, tricking them with his excellent forms of subterfuge, until finally we made our way to the tent holding the hare in question.
all the hares kind of fall quiet and almost draw closer as you talk through your tale, all their eyes very round as the ears kind of prick up.
Now, the whole while Holt is making his way through this camp, whistling as he goes, unafraid of enemies. And Lady Anastasia and I were shifting to the shadows, holding on to the sweet sleeping Gruber here.
You can hear a chorus of, ooh.
I'm trying to act it out behind him.
Holt's actually looking intrigued and listening
Shadow
himself.
puppets. We found our way to the tent. We knew the hare was inside. Holt, using his excellent modes of trickery, made his way in without shedding a drop of blood. And Lady Anastasia and I made our way through the tent in the back. And unfortunately, the enemy awoke within.
You see a small hare at the back puts a paw up. Says, excuse me, sir. How did you trick a horde full of weasels and ferrets and other faux beasts? And you can see he's kind of addressing Holt when he says this in reverence.
And it takes him a second. He sort of quickly stands up himself, trying to copy Asher, brushes himself down, almost knocks something off the table again. It's like, confidence. And just nods. If you got confidence, you can stroll through anywhere.
There's a quiet for a moment, and then the hares look at each other, and you hear kind of, yeah, that makes sense. Why didn't I think of that? And just this kind of hubbub before it quietens down again.
Sort of raises his hand. It's like, if you believe it, other people will too. Like suddenly thinking he's got words of wisdom, which he hasn't.
There's a general agreement to this sentiment that goes around the gathered hares, and they're like, yeah, you can do anything if you believe it.
Yeah, and he sort of sits back down again and ushers to Asher.
Confidence. Right. Where was I? So we're inside the tent. The enemy awakens within. Left and right, we fought for the hare's survival. And of course, we're victorious.
The suspense.
But that wasn't the end. No, we had our hare, but now we had to make our escape. Dawn was breaking. The enemy was awaking. Holt, still in his full enemy form, strolling down the same way he came in, once again past the enemies he had already tricked. Would they believe him again?
Wait. Holt was in an enemy form? Is Holt some kind of magic otter?
Well, of course, just look at him.
There's like a collective gasping from the gathered hares, and some of the younger ones just, their eyes are just completely and utterly in awe of Holt as they gaze up at him.
Flex for the wee bairns, Holt.
And again, he sort of stands up and very quickly just... and then quickly puts it down.
There's a cheer and applause coming from the hare, and then there's a smattering of flexing as other confident hares try to kind of mimic your gun show. And then you hear a slightly older one calls out, "Quiet down, you lot, we'll want to finish the story."
But as dawn broke, the enemy awoke around us. We were surrounded. We had to fight our way out. Lady Anastasia with her blade flashing in the morning sun. Holt stringing away with his arrow. And me, unfortunately, the largest. I was seen. But did I give up? No. We ran for our lives, swinging our blades as we went. Striding from the enemy as in mass. They were greater than us. But with the long patrol, we made our way out of the camp. We rushed through the forest. We ran through the plains. And with our hare, we survived.
There's a tumultuous applause as the hall breaks out into cheers and clapping and "Jolly good!" and many exclamations to that effect. And then as soon as they quieten down, it seems to celebrate your story, yet another course of food is brought out and shared around, and the merriment kind of kicks up once again. The hares bearing the many musical instruments kind of come back to the front table with that was jolly amazing. You are quite the story spinner, Lord Ashfell. Of course, we would expect nothing less of you. You were always quite the imaginative scamp when you were younger, after all.
Well, imagination has nothing to do with it. We all took out at least 5 enemies on our own. Even Gruber got a few.
Oh, of course. No, I have no doubt in you, sir. It is merely in the way you tell a story that you get that full impact of your heroism across.
Indeed.
Tell me, any of the rest of you, are you have a penchant for performing, perhaps? Do any of you wish to join us in song, or we were going to perform some ballads this evening for our conglomeration? If any of you would like to show your own skills, we'd love to have performances from anyone and all visitors we have. How about you, fair hedgehog lady? You look like you have the countenance of a dancer about you.
Yes. I've danced at many a ball. Definitely. I know all of the dance moves.
As you say this, there's a chorus of dance, dance, dance goes up from the hares gathered, and almost like clockwork, a group of them start dragging these heavy bench tables to the edges of the rooms, and the musicians gather up around the top table where you are currently sat, and strike up this lively music. A lot of it is very easy to dance to. There's this strong beat as they whirl through this traditional hare ballads and songs. Many of the younger hares take to the dance floor as well, and start doing this whirling, energetic jig. One young hare, seemingly a little bit nervous, does approach the top table and takes an elegant bow to Anastasia and offers his paw. My Lady Anastasia, I believe you said your name was. Would you do me the honor of a dance?
Of course, it would be rude for me to say no. Yes, unless my companions can think of any reason not to, then of course.
No, have fun.
Oh, and
Enjoy
fun I
yourself.
shall have, yes.
Holt's tail's like banging to the beat, which he doesn't realize he's doing at the same time, but he's just got a big smile on his face.
Yes, fine, yes. I'm not accustomed to the dances of the hairless. You're going to have to teach me. I've only got little legs, you see.
Oh, of course, not at all. I will lead you through the steps. And the very enthusiastic young hare kind of takes you down the steps towards where most of the dancers are performing. Let's see, shall we? What role is this?
I'm dancing.
I'm going to say you could use. I believe that did I give a performance stat?
There is to perform one I've got.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I will let you choose performance or agility.
Equally the same.
Equally as good.
Oh, goodness gracious. Yes, that is a very good roll, as you easily keep time with this classic hare jig. In fact, you bring a certain hedgehog brand of elegance to the dance that only you could employ with this, the way that your spines kind of tap along to the music. It is quite phenomenal, and several of the hares are kind of watching you with kind of a bated breath, just aghast at your elegance and how easily you've picked up this hare dance. And the rest of you see this and see how your companion is mastering this performance.
I'd say it's not as hard as I thought it was going to be. Oh, I'm very tired. My legs are so tiny.
Look at her being humble again. She's like, oh no, I can't dance.
Holt, as you're watching a gaggle of very, very small hares approach you, and these look certainly to be no older than Dibbons, and they've got great big feet they haven't grown into yet, and these enormous ears, as some of them start kind of just tugging on the bottom of your tunic. Big Otter, come dance too.
I might crush you. And he sort of looks. He's like, I'm not very good at it, but
Well, if you crouch down and we hold on to Big Otter's back, you can't crush us.
Well, you want to get on me?
There's like a very enthusiastic, yeah.
I could try that. And he sort of like gets up, knocks his chair over, sort of ignores it, and sort of starts walking over.
As soon as you say yes, just you are mobbed by a group of tiny little hares who just try and like climb onto your back, whooping and kind of cavorting around you, incredibly excited by this very big, interesting visitor they have.
Like he's like picking them up and putting them in better places than where they're attaching themselves.
Yeah, they just seem to be everywhere at once. No matter where you move one to, there's another one that appears. And you see some of the older hares kind of watching and with a bit of a giggle. But in a good-natured way. They're not laughing at you, they're just laughing with the kind of the atmosphere of the room.
He's like holding one here and there with the ones on his back, and he tries to mimic. He's watching Lady Anastasia and is like trying to mimic what she's doing with the hair, but on her own, whilst laughing with these dibbons, sort of spinning round. If it like he's trying to make them go as fast as possible as well.
Asher, you see your two companions being kind of cavorted about the dance floor and fully embraced, it seems, by the hares of Salamanderstron. And just as you're kind of watching this, you hear the sound of the door on the other side of the room to your right opening, and the very large form of Lady Hilda leaves what must be the meeting chamber and approaches you. I see that my hares have made sure you are all welcome. I am pleased. Are you enjoying your evening, my son?
Very much so, Mother. Thank you. This has been a homecoming I didn't know I was expecting.
She smiles, and there's this deep warmth to her face as she regards you. That is more than I could have hoped. There is a lot I have to talk to you about, but first, I think we must address some of these missing memories of yours. It will not do for you to not recall your time here at Salamanderstron when you were younger. Will you walk with me?
Of course.
Then please, follow me this way. And she waits for you to rise from your seat before starting to lead you around the edge of the room back towards the central hall that you entered when you first stepped through the doors to Salamanderstron.
He'll take just one last look over his shoulder at Holt and Anastasia, just make sure that they're fine. Holt with his hair armor. Anastasia just cutting a rug.
Yeah. Holt and Anastasia, could you roll perception checks for me? Or awareness checks, sorry.
I've noticed, so I roll a bonus as well.
Alice!
What is happening? Like, my God.
I think Holt is first.
I'm just covered in hairs. Like,
yeah,
constantly.
one of them slips down over your face.
I'm like,
you just see like kicky feet in front of your eyes.
Right, 11.
On the other hand, Anastasia, you do see Lady Hilda re-enter the room and lead Asher off back around the edges of the hall, back towards the entry reception area that you originally entered through. Would you like to do anything or say anything?
Yes, I would like to try and make my dance look like I've gone spinning off towards that door so that I might be able to poke my head around.
Okay. Yeah, I'm going to say make another performance check for me.
Ooh.
Yep, that's good enough. As far as your partner is concerned, and this the kind of jigs that are going on, the partners rotate frequently, and there's lots of kind of moving around and dancing in rings and swapping and changing in small groups and large groups. However, you're able to make it look natural as you dance off towards that side of the room. And you see the Badger lady is leading Usher up this kind of granite steps that are hewn into the stone of the mountain itself that lead up from that entrance hall up into presumably the rest of the tunnels and complex that is hewn within the mountain itself.
I just want to keep following and trying to listen.
Okay, I'm going to say with your very good dancing skills, you are able to extricate and make your excuses from your partner and slip off.
I must rest my tiny feet. Just for a moment. Go get some fresh air. It's very warm dancing. Yes.
They understand. They can say, oh, okay, but when you come back, we're going to be listening to a performance of the Hurdy-Gurdy. You
Oh, sounds wonderful. I can't wait.
They kind of wave you off and go back to the dancing. Could you roll another perception check for me? Sorry, awareness. I keep mixing those two up.
I can certainly try.
I'm giving you all the chances here.
Please, come on. Oh, thank God, it's higher than
okay, yeah. Because Anastasia was trying to get your attention, you see her wave and you see her slip out through that side of the room. You do not, however, see that Asher has left. You just notice Anastasia.
Yeah, I'm sort of like got all of these dibbons on me. So is Lady Anastasia gesturing for me to come with? Or are you just pointing that you're like, don't come near me because I need to stealth?
I'm just pointing, yet I'm off. Have fun. Keep
and like,
distracted.
He's got all these dibbons. It's just like, just nodding. Like, I'm has to quickly turn back as one almost moves off.
So Asher, you are led up these granite steps, and soon you find yourself in these twisting corridors. The walls are stone, but you can see these portraits of badgers and hares and tapestries hung along the wall. It is by no means barren, as Lady Hilda turns to you with a solemn tone. My son, I know you do not yet remember the years you have spent here, the life you had growing up in this fortress, the friends you made and the pride I felt for you. I hope that with time these memories return, so you might know again how much I love you and the grief I felt when I learnt that you had been taken from me. You must understand, we at Salamanderstron and the beasts of the woodland believed that you had fallen in battle. And she kind of looks to you, and you see that there is a very genuine emotion in her face. And she is old. She is a venerably old badger, but she still retains the strength that badgers seem to possess for many, many years. I could tell you myself of why you were not at the fortress, but not what happened to you afterwards. You had travelled far from here to a place you swore to protect. However, I think it would be more appropriate for me to show you instead. Please. Follow me, son. And as she says this, she starts to deviate from the main wide spiraling stone corridor. Anastasia, are you still following?
Yes.
Okay, roll a stealth check for me. Ooh, I'm on the wrong tab. Okay, yeah, that's good enough. I don't think that beats her passive perception. She's pretty old after all. She turns from the main spiraling stone corridor, flanked with the portraits and tapestries of ancient lords, hares, and battles fought in bygone eras. She leads you through a set of high-ceilinged and richly decorated living quarters, with furniture that was certainly crafted for a badger rather than for hares. She comes to a halt in a room lit by a gently crackling hearth, surrounded by racks and racks of finely crafted weapons. You see maces, hammers, and great swords flickering with the light of the flames, and you detect a faint scent of incense and other kind of herbs just clouding the air ever so slightly. Would Asher like to say or do anything, or is he just following quietly?
I think he's kind of waiting for her to kind of, like, Mother, what is this room? I feel like I should know it, but I don't.
My son, there is a lot that you should know that has clearly been taken from you. I hope that we are able to restore that. Now, this place that I am about to show you is a sacred place Entrance is permitted only to our kind, for it is our final resting place in the home of our ancestors. Before you left, you had yet to step foot inside the tombs of our kin, because I had not yet deemed you ready. I see now that you are. Anastasia, you can hear all of this as you, I suppose, peek round from the doorway or wherever you are hiding. Is there anything you would like to do?
Listen. I'm just going to keep listening, trying to remember it all.
Roll a law check for me, Anastasia.
Ooh. I've listened at a lot of noble doors.
Oh, 13. That's a pretty good roll. So you have heard of Salamander Store, and you feel like you had read about it before you came here. You knew for sure that there was this fortress that was ruled by badgers and filled with a community of hares that served them. And you'd also read, maybe you were interested in books of mysteries, of legends, of stories. You've read that badgers in particular receive visions, supposedly, that they are, despite their very physical nature, they are quite a spiritual being as well. And what Hilda is describing sounds somewhat like something you might have read in the past. Certainly you have read about how sacred badgers' ancestors are to them, and that they believe that their ancestors can influence or communicate with them after death.
Okay, interesting.
You see, both of you, Hilda reaches out to one of the weapons racks next to the hearth, and she removes an intricate-looking mace. As she lifts the weapon, there is a clunk and this grinding sound as you see this great granite fireplace start to sink into the floor beneath your paws. What remains is a dimly lit stone passageway hewn into the rock of the mountain, leading onwards into darkness. The Lady Hilda picks up a torch burning at the side of the hearth and hands it to Asher. Go onward, my son. I cannot follow with you, but I will await you here. Go forth and know your truth.
I will. Thank you, Mother. I don't know what else to say.
Well, how about you say it when you return? You might find you have a few more words then.
He's just gonna walk forth.
Okay. Anastasia, you see Asher step forward into this dark corridor that just appeared out of nowhere in the stone of the mountain.
I would like to run back to get home.
Okay. Are you still trying to be stealthy about it?
Yes, I don't want anyone to know that I witnessed that.
All right. You can roll for me, please, a stealth check as you scamper back down out into the corridor and down the steps towards the hall. Consistently rolling well is our Anastasia.
Sneaky.
You round the final corner and you can hear the loud revelry of the feasting hall long before you arrive there. Halt. Some of the older hares have pried their youngsters off of you at this point, and you've been given a few moments to breathe as you notice Anastasia skid around the edge of the door back into the hall.
I sort of look at he's about to say something out loud, and then seeing sort of like trudges over there. All right.
Our dear friend has gone down a scary dark passage on his own, and I think it's only prompt that we follow.
On his own? Is he all right?
I mean, probably. I don't know. I didn't go down there. Who knows what's down there? He's trying to find his truth, whatever that is.
Right.
But I feel
Okay.
that we should definitely go as well. I watched how to get into the place in case it's been closed back up again, so don't worry about that. And you're strong, so that should be fine. It's quite a heavy mace. But we should definitely follow. Let's leave Gruber here sleeping. I'm sure the hares will look after him. But we definitely should make sure that he finds his truth and not his end.
Yeah, lead the way, Mom. I'll be right behind you.
Perfect, wonderful. Let us go.
Right. And he sort of like not crashes through the door, but you know when you catch yourself on the shoulder on the way through, sort of knocks it and then tries to be as careful as possible.
Some of the hares like notice you going, and they feel a bit kind of, "Oh, you leaving already, sir and Mom?"
I just yes.
Breath of fresh air.
Oh, do you want one of us to show you up the way to the gardens? It's a nice place to get a breath of fresh air, sir and Mom.
And Hope looks down at
No, it's perfectly fine. I shall be safe with my bodyguard Holt here. To
Make a persuasion check for me. Holt, you can assist if you like.
a charm.
Oh, yeah, it could be a charm if that's how you want to.
Because I have a bonus dice.
I can do this. 3d6. Yes.
Right, so essentially, when you assist, you will be adding. I think you'll be adding a total of 2 points to her end result.
Okay.
Nope. Those aren't d6s.
An apt number.
I mean, that's pretty convincing. To be fair.
That's still very convincing, especially with the help from
The
Holt.
wrong kind of charm.
I shall change that 1 into a 6 as well.
The hedgehog as well, of all things. All right.
Ouchie.
They digress and kind of take a short bow to you. Of course. Please, if there's anything at all you need, do not hesitate to tell us.
Yes, we will. Maybe actually, keep you busy. Maybe one of you could bring some hot water up to my room. I would love to have a bath. It's been a very long journey.
Yeah, of course. We
over there somewhere. That would be wonderful.
We have several very well-equipped guest quarters on the upper levels.
Well, I will take it that you will choose me the very best one that you possibly can. Wonderful.
You can leave it to me, madam. And very, very determinedly, the hare kind of dashes off to go and start making arrangements for your bath.
Quick, Holt, quick.
No, I'm right behind you, miss. Like, and he sort of comes. You're like running, and he's just stepping.
One step, and I'm like,
yeah.
And the true irony there is that Lady Anastasio finally got the perfect servant, and she's just like pushing them away.
She's pushing like away. Right. So, where are we going?
to the fireplace.
Right.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Okay. And if we arrive at the fireplace, did you say there was a mace or something?
Yeah.
So you head up the granite staircase and through these winding corridors. And Anastasia, you just about managed to remember the route through these very large living quarters that clearly look as though they belong to Lady Hilda herself. And as you round that last corner to the doorway of the room with all of the weapons, you can see that the Lady of the Mountain herself is sitting in this old armchair by the fire, which has now risen back up to where it was before.
Oh, dang.
I'm just going to do a roll.
You don't really want to have to knock out the queen. That seems.
I'm not knocking her out. Like, it's almost like, whoa.
Could you... What is each of your passive stealth?
Passive stuff.
So that's 4 times your stealth score.
So 4.
Ah!
Well.
There are a few moments of quiet as you try and work out how you're going to approach the situation before you hear that low female voice and the great muzzle of this ancient badger slowly lifts and looks towards you. I know that you were there. You might as well step out of the shadows so we can have a proper conversation.
I push Holt forward.
Oh. And he sort of like Yeah, literally sort of wanders in quite happily. He's not too worried. He's like, my lady. And he just sort of does this really awkward bow, half curtsy, not too sure what he's meant to be doing. He's like,
Holding his waistcoat.
yeah, just like, I weren't lurking. I can't lurk.
She does another of those deep belly laughs. My friend, I am easily believing of that. I heard the report from Captain Frita of your performance in the rescue of young Haffington. It seems that although you might lack in the stealth department, you certainly make up for it.
Thanks. We were just looking for our friend. Just worried about him, just checking up. It's, become quite close over the last day or so.
She smiles to both of you, and you realise that she has quite cloudy eyes. You get the impression that her eyesight maybe is starting to fade. It warms my heart to know that there are those who would follow my son into the unknown for his protection. I am pleased that it seems he made good friends whilst he was at the Abbey. So tell me, what do you plan to do now?
If you could go back a moment. The Abbey.
Yes.
What Abbey?
Yes, that.
I might as well illuminate the two of you, since my son will also know very soon. A long time ago, my son, Lord Ashfell of Salamanderstrun, departed from the mountain. When a badger comes of age, they tend to leave Salamanderstrun. You understand there can never be two adult badgers ruling the mountain at ever one time. It has only happened once or twice in our history. There were a few famous examples. Some twins ruled the mountain for a long time together, but as a rule, it simply doesn't work. So young badgers set out on their own quests when they come of age. My son left what feels like no time at all ago now, and journeyed east into Mossflower Wood. He sought out a very famous place, a abbey known as Redwall. He sought, at the time, to become the abbey's protector, to be its guardian and its champion, to shield it from all the ills of the world and all of the cruelties of certain forces which would like very much to take such a valuable and wealthy establishment for themselves. However, time passed, and as far as I was aware, he had become successful in his task. He was recognized as the Abbey's defender for some time. However, there came a day when a dispatch came to Salamanderstrun with details that my son had fallen in a bloody battle between a foe beast that had attacked the Abbey and a very brave but small force of Abbey dwellers that stood against this foe and fought them through the woods of Mossflower. The foe was chased away, but as I understand it, not without heavy losses. My son was amongst the fallen, and I mourned him for a long time. However, it now seems he has returned, with little idea of who it was, what happened, or even the years he spent at Redwall and indeed beforehand. And so I have sent him to a place sacred to our kind, where I hope he is able to retrieve some of these lost memories.
And do you think we were there as well?
I was going to say, where do we fit into all of this?
She smiles. That I cannot say. Whilst we do have contact time to time with the otter tribes, I myself have never heard of a Holt. I did ask amongst my guard to see if anyone had heard of that name before, but it seems no Holt has ever come out this far before. As for hedgehogs, we do not have as much contact with your kind either. You tend to stay around the woodlands. And indeed, it is very, very unusual for dwellers at the Redwall Abbey to travel this far west. Of course, there is simply no need to in times of peace. There is much to do, both here at Salamanderstron and there at the Abbey. We maintain a quiet but strong alliance. We defend each other, or at least Salamanderstron defends the east from attacks from the sea to the west, as you have no doubt seen. I myself, however, cannot tell you who you are or how you fit into my son's lost memories, or indeed your own. And unfortunately, I cannot promise that Salamanderstron will be able to return these memories to you. It is a place sacred to badger kind, and I am afraid the ancestors would not be able to speak to the two of you. But that is not to say that there are other places where you might not be able to seek your lost memories.
Holt looks a little bit sad that no one has heard of the name. Not he expected, but that there is no sort of reveal for him, as he was sort of hoping for something. But he just nods slowly. It's like, thank you, Mom. But I would really like to go and find my friend now.
She nods. I understand that. Trust me, I do. However, Ash fell out. He was not going by his full name. What was it you called him?
Oh, he's Asher.
Asher. If that is what my son prefers, it is what I will call him. Asher has started down a path of memory and of sacred badger rites that he must experience alone. However, that is not to say I do not have plans for the pair of you. And you see her slowly get to her feet from this immense armchair that looked extremely comfortable and well used. Whilst we wait for my son's return, perhaps to show my gratitude in assisting his return to Salamanderstron, we can get the two of you fully kitted out with equipment of your choice. Any new clothing in our stores that we can provide for you, armor that you would like perhaps, weapons. After all, if you are to be traveling on from here, you will be crossing through country that is outside of our bounds of protection. Everything you see around you here in this armory is free for you to peruse as you would like. Just tell me if you see anything that you would like to outfit yourself with. And for the Lady Hedgehog, as she kind of turns to look at Anastasia, we have many, many fine vestments that will look just beautiful underneath whatever armor or protective clothing you would wish to take with you. As anything you would like, anything you see in our stores is yours, as far as I am concerned, for the safe return of my son.
Well, that is most generous of you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
She smiles. Please, I give you my word, Asher will return safely. I would not send my own son somewhere that I knew was dangerous. And perhaps when he returns, he will have information of what happened to him that will benefit the two of you. Perhaps he'll be able to tell you who you are and where you came from.
Maybe. No, maybe. But I'm looking, I'm going to set a time limit. If he's not back in a certain amount of time, we're going to go find him.
She nods. Of course. Thank you again for your concern for the safety of my son. Now, allow me to give you a tour. And she starts to essentially lead you through the room, showing you to various aspects of this immense armory. And all of the weapons that you see stacked along these walls, in racks and in these crates all around the floor, are expertly made, crafted by extremely skilled beasts. And as she leads you around, you hear her kind of continue on. Yes, as a number of these I crafted myself. Almost all badges are slightly gifted in the smith craft. Many of these are also crafted by many of our hair blacksmiths. They are also incredibly skilled in their art. Please tell me if there is anything at all that you would be interested in. As she just keeps leading you around and telling you more about the history of the mountain and about the way the mountain works and how they draw water up from the caves beneath the mountain, and how about the mountain was originally a great fiery pillar that was inhabited by some huge strange amphibian beast that was slain by heroes centuries ago, as she regales you with all of these stories, leading you around the mountain itself. Meanwhile, Asher, it is dark, almost impenetrably so all around you, but the walls are smooth and lead straight ahead and slightly down. As you follow the passageway forward, you see only darkness ahead of you and the short distance that your torch is able to light. What would you like to do?
I guess keep moving forward until I'm trying to find whatever I'm supposed to find. I don't know what to look for. So
roll a awareness check for me. Okay. Oh yeah, that's definitely good enough. With 15, you are able to make out some grooves on the wall to your left and your right. And then you notice that there is this shallow kind of cut that's been carved into this ledge on the wall. And it seems to be filled with some kind of oily substance, almost like this continual line of oil that carries on up the passageway before you.
I'm assuming he can tell it's oil. He doesn't.
Yeah, it looks like lantern oil to you.
Okay. He will touch the torch to the oil and see if it lights.
Immediately, the light all around you flares up, and the flames shoot down the line of oil, down this passageway in front of you, and illuminate the darkness ahead. You can see now that a little way ahead, maybe another couple of minutes walk, the passageway seems to open up into a larger room.
Keep moving forward towards the larger room.
Okay. As you make your way forward, the passageway does indeed open up into a far larger space. You find yourself in an immense cavern. The flames have now reached these open torches, lighting them one by one with puffs of flame and a strong scent of incense. Before your eyes dance countless carvings, thrown into sharp relief by these flickering lights. They cover every wall and the ceiling, depicting huge badger lords with strength and majesty. Below them, and lining the wall, you see stone plinths upon which lie these stone-carved, what you can only assume to be crypts of some kind. Each one has been covered with a slab of stone with the carved relief of the badger entombed within. On the walls above them, you see carvings of that badger in life. You see one with a golden flash of colour on his head striped, wielding some kind of mace. You see another roaring with defiance with eyes that look to have been blinded. On the other side of the stone chamber, you see a huge forge that suddenly roars into life as the flames from the line of oil finally reaches it. Heat immediately fills the room, as does a heavy smoke, thick with the scent of incense and other herbs. you feel your head starts to swim and the carvings dance before your eyes. What do you do?
If he's starting to get lightheaded, he's going to look for. I'm imagining maybe his footing maybe isn't so sure, so he's going to look for a place to maybe set down, maybe move towards one of the stone carvings and see if he can maybe use that to brace himself, while also kind of running his paws along it and admiring while he can the craftsmanship.
Roll an awareness check for me. Wow, that's very good. You see the largest of these carvings is resting next to the forge, above which you see a huge relief in the wall of an enormous badger. And in this carving, it's almost as if you see the shape of a star falling down from the heavens, and this badger seems to be catching it in its bare paws. As your head is now starting to pound and your vision is blurring, the carving itself seems to move. With this strange blurred sight, you see the carving's arms snapping free of their stone eternal position, and you see as it cradles the star and puts it on the ground in front of it. And then the carving, like some sort of disjointed flipbook animation, takes a huge hammer and starts to hammer down onto the fallen star. You see bursts of sparks before your eyes, before the figure gets back up to its full height and the muzzle turns in the stone and looks to you. And you hear a deep, rumbling voice in your head. Take up the hammer and go to the forge, son of my sons. Breathe deep and know who you are.
I'll listen to the voice. I'll take up the hammer and go to the forge and take a deep breath.
Okay. Meanwhile, back in the armories and fine silks chambers of the Badger Lords, the Lady Hilda is still showing the two of you around the vicinity. Lady Anastasia, she has led you into a room where it seems that many very skilled hair weavers have made these beautiful fabrics with these fantastic coloured patterns, and many dyes that have been made or traded from materials from the forest have been used to create the most fantastically coloured fabrics. She turns to you and you hear her say, "It has come to my attention from some of my hairs that you are quite a talented seamstress, Lady Anastasia."
It's very ladylike to do needlework. Yes, that is true.
Well, in that case, please take your pick of the fabrics, the silks you see around you, and you are welcome to take what you wish to make any garment that you desire, so that it might remind you of Salamanderstron wherever your journey takes you from here.
She makes a little squeak sound.
And there are a lot of lovely, lovely fabrics, and they're incredibly soft and well made. And she just kind of lets you loose to have a look and examine whatever you want and choose exactly what you would like to craft your ideal costume.
And I do. Everything else is forgotten as I run through the materials, hold them up against myself, not trying to imagine the things I'm going to make. I look at my once beautiful cloak and try and find something that sort of matches it but is better.
You're
not planning a new cloak for myself.
You're definitely able to find exactly what you need to either make yourself a brand new cloak or kind of repair the old one. On Holt, you kind of see as Anastasia is unleashed upon this beautiful room of crafts and supplies.
As he does, he watches her go. He looks down at his own little tatty waistcoat and gives it almost like a pat, but he's just like, you got a coat? As he sort of thinks back to the earlier conversation. He's like, one to like cover this, look after it. I don't want to replace it.
Hilda nods. Of course. I get the impression that waistcoat of yours is quite precious to you.
Yeah, no, it is. I got to wear it at all times. You see, because I'm waiting for someone to come find me, to come back, and I need them to be able to recognise me.
She nods. Then I recommend that you do indeed hold on to that waistcoat. It could be the key to remembering who you are or what you were doing before you ended up on that beach.
Yeah, I mean it's tatty, but it's real nice, really. Like
I can see it looks as if it was very, very finely made. But of a coat, I'm sure we can do something for you. You are somewhat taller than our tallest hares here. However, we do have a fantastic team of seamstresses and craft beasts here that I'm sure could make some adjustments to make something that fits you perfectly.
Thanks. Now are there like weapons in here? Is there anything he can eye up?
The kind of weapons and armor were the room behind you. You get the impression that she brought Anastasia in here mostly for her purposes, but was intending to take you through to look at armor and the like.
And he sort of looks like at this tiny little short bow that he took off of this enemy earlier on. He's like, now I'm aware that I'm a bit bigger than the average beast, as we call it. But like you're tall and Asher's tall, and he starts to ramble and he's like, I've always really wanted a longbow. I mean, I've been practicing with one, or I used to practice with one, and someone taught me how to use one, but I never had my own. And I thought,
she gives another one of those belly laughs. Of course. Well, if you are to be journeying forth from here, and if you are to take my son with you, you will need proper equipment. Now, several badgers in the history of this mountain were experts with the longbow, and if you are truly as skilled as you say you are, perhaps we will take you to see some of their weapons. And she calls to Anastasia, we're just going to be in the adjacent room if you need anything at all, Lady Anastasia.
Oh, I'll be fine. Don't you worry about me. I'm perfectly okay. Yes. See you later. Bye-bye.
She kind of waves and smiles, seeing how engrossed you are in all of the crafts and fabrics, as she gently leads Holt away to the adjacent room. Now, a few of these were wielded by lords and heroes of the mountain past. Allow me to... and you see that this very old badger picks up this enormous crate from the floor, easily as if it were just a plank of wood, and moves it to the side. And you see a panel underneath on the floor in one of these flagstones with grooves in the side that perfectly fit a badger's claws as she lifts it. Now, these are relics of our lords of years gone by, so I tend to keep them separately to the rest of our armory.
I mean, I don't want nothing special. I don't want to break anything.
She laughs again. I trust in you, Holt, that you will not break a weapon forged for a badger.
Okay. Like he sort of... Yeah, like he's not convinced himself.
And so you see before you a small selection of very well-made longbows. They range from a very simple U-carved longbow with the strings obviously aren't kept strung on the bow itself, but are kind of kept separately. All the way to an incredibly elaborate bow of very dark wood with carvings of vines kind of reliefed all along the side of the bow, and everything in between. So if you describe to me the kind of bow that Holt would be looking for, I will tell you the stats that it will have.
Holt is looking for a bow similar to the one that he was taught with, even though it was too big for him at the time. And it's probably pretty large. It's got a good hand rest effectively, for good grip. That seems to bit that had a lot of focus on it. And there were carvings up and down the side of it. Nothing too fancy. If anything, it probably won't be here. It mimicked water. And he's just looking for something almost with a swirling pattern, but definitely big enough to actually fit his size because of how big he is.
Yeah, you are able to find exactly that. You pick out a bow of a slightly paler wood than the classic yew, but with these swirling motifs carved and etched into the wood with wood stain. And as you kind of pick that one out, she nods with some kind of motherly approval and smiles. I had a feeling you might choose that one, Otter. Pick it up, see how it feels in your hand.
Yeah, and not taking his eyes off her either, as if he should be performing. He's sort of he wants her to think he knows what he's doing, so he's yeah. No, this is a good one.
Well, by all means, once you have selected a bow, we will provide you with some bowstrings, and if you wish, we have a training area nearby if you wanted to try it out, whilst you wait for Ash's return.
And he sort of holds the bow quite close to him. He's I would love that.
She smiles. Very well. Well, I will see how your companion is doing. In the meantime, if you want to look over there, you will find armor and other protective garments. I will be back shortly.
Fab. Thanks. And again, tries not to say mate, to sort of goes, Mom.
You kind of get this weird impression that it's kind of like when a mum is being super nice to her kids, best friends, when he brings them home, as she wanders back to the other room to check on Anastasia. And to give you the stats for a longbow, it deals damage equal to your agility +2. But because this is a very kind of strength-based, I'm going to say you can sub your athletics if you want to.
Ooh, yay.
And that's kind of the boon of it being a badger-made bow I'm going to give you. It also has some cool qualities, which I can send you after the session. The one that you'll want to be aware of, because it's really cool, is it has piercing rank 2, which means that it ignores 2 points of armor when used on an enemy because of the strength of the bow itself. Cool. So Lady Hilda returns to Anastasia and kind of pokes her head around the side of the door. How are you doing in here, Lady Anastasia?
So you actually can't see Lady Anastasia. She's buried herself in all the fabrics that she has ripped down because she was unable to choose just one, and they're all covering her, and you can just see a hand out the top of a pile and still groping for more things, and you just hear a muffled sort of oh, okay, they're beautiful. I can't decide which ones I want. This is just a lovely, lovely cake. I'm very excited.
She laughs again and just seems pleased that you're enjoying yourself. Says, well, if you need anything, I'm taking your companion Holt across the corridor, 2 doors down, and down a short flight of stairs to the training area, where he is just going to take his new bow for a test run. If you need anything else, I will make sure that hares are here to attend to you if there is anything you need.
Yes, I would need some hares, strong hares, to pull me out of this pile I seem to have made for myself, and help me cut up some material.
She grins and nods before heading back out. And Holt, you see as she crosses the room to a door on the other side and sticks her muzzle out. And it seems that there were definitely hares outside, just posted just to keep an eye on everything, that she laughingly informs that the Lady Anastasia would appreciate some attendance to her work. Before she returns to you, says, please follow me and I will take you to where you can test this bow that you have chosen.
Yeah, no, of course. Thanks, Mom.
And she leads you back through the rooms that you took to get here and back out into that winding stone corridor. Takes you up a little bit, about 2-minute walk, and then she turns, takes the second right, as she said, and this leads through a large archway out and very suddenly out into the open air. And the fresh air of the outside and the sea breeze catches you as you walk through this archway. And whilst the mountain itself is very well aerated and there are these tall windows constantly on the outsides of the mountain wall itself, it certainly feels quite nice to be back out in the breeze and to be able to hear the sound of the sea far, far below the mountain itself. And you find yourself in an open area which seems to be a kind of level plateau, almost chopped into the side of the mountain itself. You can see that there are kind of areas of cultivation around the edges where hares are clearly growing vegetables and other cooking herbs and spices. And in the middle, you can see what's clearly been used as a kind of a short archery range with targets and equipment set up at the other end. She says, please, by all means. And she motions to a few hares that have been kind of joining your group and following along behind, as it seems the feast downstairs might have been clearing up by now. She motions for them to set up a few targets for you to practice with, and then ushers them out of the way so that you have ample room without feeling anxious about hitting anybody.
Yeah, he sort of he pauses for a moment, and sort of being able to smell the sea, he probably takes the biggest, the deepest breath, and probably swells up to his full height when his chest sort of puffs out and he broadens up. And he just smiles for a moment when he's got a bow in his hand, one that actually fits him and one that looks like he's held before. And suddenly remembering his manners, hearing Lady Anastasia's voice in the back of his head, he's like, "Thank you for this, Mom. I'll treat it real well, and I'll thank you."
She smiles and nods and says, well, with all of that, let's make sure you can actually use it. And she grins, gesturing to the target set up at the other end of the area.
And now suddenly feeling incredibly nervous that there is a lady watching. He, sort of fumbles with the arrow, putting it, knocking it, okay, and then pulls it up to its full strength.
Make a marksmanship roll for me.
I've also got speciality 2 in that. I can't quite remember what that does. But...
Just roll them as extra dice, and they essentially sub in for smaller results.
Okay, so I'll roll those in as well.
Yeah.
He's nervous.
Okay, so you are understandably a little bit nervous, and you're kind of getting to use a brand new tool which you haven't ever kind of tried with before. And even so, you managed to hit the target, not dead on, but you still hit the target from all the way across this training area. You see her kind of clap her huge paws together. Says, certainly a noble effort. Why don't you give us another go?
And he starts to knock it again and rolls. Come on, Holt, I believe in you. You can roll something.
I believe in this otter.
Come on, yes!
Okay, this time you take a moment to breathe in the sea air and just let it calm through your body before you let loose the arrow, and this time it is, without a doubt, a perfect bullseye on the target.
And he physically just, realizing that the pressure was on, and sort of half turns back,
You see all of the hares just like clapping and cheering and whooping behind you.
I'll keep practicing. I think I need it.
She smiles, of course. I can tell that bow is far better off in your paws than it is in a musty old crate beneath an old stone floor.
Thank you, Mum. And he sort of does that really liquid bow curtsy again.
Meanwhile, back in the tomb of the Badger Lords, you have taken up the hammer and you have made your way to the forge. Your head is swimming and pounding, and you can just about see what you're doing, Asher, before your vision suddenly starts to swim completely. And as this happens, Anastasia and also Holt, you suddenly feel this dizzy spell, and your own vision starts to fade and swim before your eyes into this blackness. Asher, you see yourself. It's as if you're watching from a distance, and yet you are standing exactly where the younger you see is standing, because you hear everything as if you're right there, but you see it as if disjointed from the scene. But you see a younger version of yourself bidding farewell to a gaggle of hares and a slightly younger Lady Hilda Silverstripe at the base of Salamanderstrun. You have no doubt that what you're seeing is true, and as soon as you see it, it makes perfect sense. This is back when you left. It wasn't that long ago. It was just several seasons that you left the mountain to seek your fortune elsewhere. You watch yourself make your way into a forest towards the east. It grows darker, it grows green and quiet, and the vision fades to black and dissolves once again. When the light reappears, you see yourself in a hall, a very fine and sturdy looking hall built of red sandstone, and you are bowing before an elderly looking mouse with long grey whiskers, wearing a dark green habit. He raises a paw and bids you to rise, and as you do so, you see the doors on the other end of this fine hallway crash open. You see two otters bursting into the room. You recognize one of them. One of them definitely seems to be a slightly younger version of Holt. Or is it? No, they're not younger. Their clothing and they just seem a little bit less haggard, a little bit less like they've traipsed halfway across southward with you. And they burst in, and there is a quick conversation, but the sounds are muddied. You can't quite work out any specific words, only that there is concern and urgency to the situation before the vision changes again. The last thing you see before it fades to black once more is a vast tapestry that covers almost the entirety of one of the walls of this hallway, which features many barbaric-looking beasts, all fleeing from one central figure, standing in the middle of this tapestry, holding aloft a very fine, single-handed sword with a blood-red stone in the pommel. The figure appears to be a young mouse, and for some reason that you are not sure, something about it makes you feel peaceful. Something in it instills this deep feeling of relaxation and hope inside you. Before the vision changes again, you see the old mouse that you were bowing before, not moments ago, standing in front of 200 of forest creatures, all of them gathered in this grand hall. Some of them look very, very tiny, and they cling to the habits and the skirts of the other animals who look frightened, anxious. You see that this old mouse is giving some sort of speech, perhaps, but again, the voices are slurred and you can't make out individual words. You see some of the creatures stepping forward, raising their paws and joining where you are currently standing at the side of this mouse, as you are looking on from afar at this scene. Amongst them, you see Holt once more, but you also see Anastasia and Gruber. Anastasia is clad in a very beautiful looking dusky pink and red and purple gown, which is decorated with various meadow flowers. You have to admit she looks very beautiful, but she also looks determined. There is this glint of confidence in her eyes and of ferocity. By her side is Gruber. Gruber looks much as he always has, strong and determined, but always that kind of cheerful and slightly mischievous look. And then there is Holt, dressed in that same slightly too small waistcoat that he always seems to wear now, looking similarly determined, perhaps a little bit nervous, but nonetheless, there is this courage in his eyes. Once again, the vision swims and reforms. This time, you are bound hand and foot, deep in a forest, and it is dark. You all are there next to each other, and this is something that all three of you are now seeing as your vision swims before you. And your vision starts to get clearer, and the sounds start to get clearer. You are all bound hand and foot. You are next to each other, and you are in this forest, and you all recognize this forest. How could you not? This is Mossflower, the huge forest expanse that stretches from the western shores near Salamanderstrand all the way to the east, far beyond any beast's knowledge. It is dark, and your bodies are bruised and battered after the sprint through the woods. You have been captured, bound tightly, and barely able to move as you look at each other. You realize that you can act, you are able to speak. You can feel your body. You are not watching from afar anymore, but you are there in your own heads. As you look aside to you, you see your comrades, similarly bound. What do you do?
I struggle. Am I able to talk to them?
Yeah, you can see Holt is next to you on your right, Anastasia is on your left, and Gruber is on Anastasia's other side, although it looks like Gruber might still be unconscious.
And we're all bound?
Yeah, you're all very securely bound. You especially, they have used several layers of not only leather bindings, they've got chains around your wrists and your ankles.
I mean, first thing is obviously just struggle against the ropes and chains. See if maybe they're weak. Who knows?
All right, roll an athletics check for me.
If I'm strong enough to break chains.
Okay, even with that roll, these chains don't seem to be going anywhere. They have prepared for the capture of a badger, it seems. How about the rest of you, as you are also sharing this vision as such?
Holt is like, if he's bound, he might be laying like face down. I don't know where he'd be, but he's trying to shift his gaze backwards.
So you realize that you are on your knees rather than being face down, and you're all facing towards what seems to be a cage with a some kind of hide shroud that's just been placed over the top.
Is everyone all right? Other than this, obviously, and sort of holding up his paws.
Yes, I'm not sure this is exactly how our plan was meant to go, if I'm being honest.
He's just like struggling. Again, it won't go anywhere, but he's really trying to he's just seen Asher try and break, and he's like, okay, copy, but it's not really.
As you struggle against your bonds, you see a very tall creature, all sinew and twisted muscle, clad in mottled plate armor, and with this vicious-looking barbed spear in one paw, step in front of you. It looks like a fox, but not like any fox you've ever seen. The fur is patchy. There are dark grey areas, brown patches, and in some places pure white. However, it looks as if the white fur is almost peeling and dropping off of the body. The dark fur is sprouting underneath. You see a very sharp face, even for a fox, and these dark black eyes regarding you coldly. Tell me, the Red Castle, how many defenders?
I think Holt probably tries to, even though he's kneeling, tries to sort of stand up as tall as possible and just blocks eyes. He won't say anything.
Many. More than you have to defeat.
He kind of blinks at you and then looks to the badger.
Why are you looking at me? Why do you think by the martyr any of us would tell you anything?
And as you say that, he swings forward with the butt of the spear and strikes you across the jaw, and you feel the pain just blossom. Even though in some part of your mind you know you're not really here, the pain is still intense and just fills your head, and you feel a headache start to come on.
Oh, is there a soft breeze in here?
You have told me everything I need. You are of no more use. Take them back to the Empress to serve. They will not see their Red Castle again. Sister, perform your ritual. We will return with a force that makes this raiding party look like a drop in the ocean. The fox barks before it turns away, striding into the night. You see a pair of very sinewy-looking stoats dragging this, whatever this thing is in front of you, dragging this covered cage towards you. There are a few moments where nothing seems to happen before the shroud on top of this cage is ripped away. And inside you see something twisting and coiling. Before you see this immense bulk that has been cruelly shoved into this compartment, far too small for it, turn, and then you see a pair of bright orange eyes. And there is a moment where you've realized what you were looking at, that you are looking at a very, very hungry, starved adder. And the huge reptile fixes all three of you with this baleful glare. And you feel your eyes unable to look away from this creature as a smaller fox steps out from behind the cage and recites in this lighter, almost gentle voice. Although you see that she has the same patchy fur, the same strange fur as the other fox. You will not resist. You will not fight. You will forget this land, the forest, and your families. You will forget the Red Castle. You now serve the Empress, Dagmira Stone Eyes of Holdforst, and General Wogvir the Grey. And she repeats this over and over, and the longer you stare into the hypnotic eyes of the adder, the longer you hear this diatribe repeated over and over, the less you are able to hold onto your senses, the more you feel your consciousness slipping away until the vision just dissolves in its entirety. Holt, you find yourself coming to. You are lying on your side, the bow on the grass next to you, and there are about a score of very, very, very concerned hares gathered around you. Sir, you're right down there. You suddenly took a nasty turn and fell down, sir.
And he sort of pauses for a moment, like blinking a couple of times, looking around him, quickly sort of reaches for the bow, and he's just like, I really need to go find my friends right now. And he sort of starts almost like that awkward sort of almost like gallop on all fours, but like getting up onto two to start running back inside.
Anastasia, you also come to in a nest of fabrics that you had started to craft into a fine cloak for yourself. Similarly, there are a few of these strong young hares who have been sent to assist with your work. Lady Anastasia, Mom, are you quite all right? You passed out. I'm sorry. Was there not enough food at the feast? Was there too much food at the feast?
It was probably all the dancing. I haven't danced in a while. I'm perfectly okay. I do, however, need to find Holt very quickly. Yes, I've remembered something I forgot to tell him about his waistcoat. Yes, that was, yes. I'll be right back. If you could just continue the cutting of this and just stitching just like that, nice and small, very delicate. I'll do the fixing, don't worry, but you just carry on with, you're doing a great job, everybody. Thank you so much. Halt!
He's like cantering towards.
As you are both kind of scrabbling towards each other, Asher, you slowly come to. Your head is still swimming. You realize that most of the smoke in the room seems to have been vented out somehow. You see in one of your paws, you're holding some kind of woven cord that leads to this vent high in the wall that you seem to have, quite without realizing, released the smoke and the incense as your vision ended. In your other hand, you are carrying the immense blacksmith's hammer that was resting by the side of the forge. And as you look up, all of the carvings of the ancient Badger Lords seem to have returned to where they should be, and your head finally feels clear. Make an awareness check for me. Okay. It takes you a little while as your head is still a bit fuzzy from the incense and all the images you just witnessed, but you see that next to the forge and next to this trough of water, there is a stone mold with something inside that just seems to be cooling. And you feel suddenly your paws, they are sore, they feel tired, as if you've been working feverishly on something.
I'd like to investigate what it is.
You walk back over to the forge, and you look down and you feel a sense of recognition. You are vaguely... This is your work. You did this. You don't really remember when or how, but as you look over the mold, you see inside is a still warm, still not quite cool yet. You see a very fine silvery shield. Could you please tell me what the shield you have crafted looks like?
Sure. It's circular. It's not a buckler necessarily, but it's more of a traditional round shield with the center emboss. Around the edges are engraved actually the Badger Lords that line the walls, and each of them reminiscent of the stone carvings of them. And it's on the inside, it actually has etched into it, so that I may honor my father and those that came before.
Very good. And now that your head is clear and you have taken this shield that you have yourself made whilst in the throes of your vision, everything seems quiet and still once again in the forge. And you have a feeling in your heart that what you were meant to be shown here, you have seen. And you feel this sudden pull back to where you came, that your friends will need you, and that you have learnt much that perhaps you should share with them.
Yeah, I think as soon as that dawns on him, he's rushing as fast as he can back out of this cavern, this cave. He's running towards at least the entrance.
Indeed. And Holt, as you lope around the corner to the room containing the armory, and Anastasia, as you dash through the door, both of you have a chance to kind of glimpse each other before there is this grinding sound, and you see that the huge stone hearth is once again sinking below down into the stone floor. And you see the shape of Asher stepping out from that dark passageway back into the room.
I'm going to run at them and kind of group hug.
Like Colt's
I'm gonna really,
around the corner into this hug more than anything.
yeah, it's almost kind of a tackle, but I'm going to pull them in and then step back and go, my friends, I trusted you before I even knew who you were, and that trust will never go away. I assumed you had a similar experience to me. I felt you there. I knew you were there.
Something real weird just happened, mate. Like, and he's sort of like trying to get it in like his head. He's like, it was like I was there again, like I lived it, and there was an adder and those eyes, those big orange eyes, and sorry, I almost went, and you were there, and you were there, and the foxes. I remember the faces of the foxes. Is that what you saw?
I saw that, and I saw more. I saw us at Redwall. We have a purpose still. Our work isn't done.
What's our purpose?
Protect
We know the faces of our enemies now. I think we start there.
Right. Wait, so what, we got to find the fox, or we got to find this place? I remember the forest. I really remember the forest.
All of you hear that deep feminine voice again from the doorway. It sounds like you heard what you needed to and saw what you must. Come with me. I believe it is time we should discuss, all of us, what your next move is to be. If you will.
Holt like shaking his head a couple more times because he almost feels drowsy, and he's like, yeah, no, I want to work out what this is.
I promise we will, and once you have done so, you should rest. Visions are always taxing upon those who experience them.
Right. And he sort of just defers to the others, sort of lost in thought.
Lady Anastasia, Asher, would you follow me, please?
I think he's going to hug his mom. Of course he is.
She looks like a little bit kind of shocked out of her kind of proprietary before like hugging you back just as hard.
Yeah, Asher remembered that he's a hugger. No, he's going to hug his mom and say, thank you for everything. I remember, I know now what I need to know, and of course, we will follow you, please. It seems like we have a lot of work to do.
She just beams at you. I am pleased the spirits showed you exactly what you needed. Please, sir. The council chambers are not far from here. And she leads the three of you down through the twisting stone passageways of the mountain, down to a fairly plain room with a very long mahogany table and high-backed chairs. She kind of motions for you to sit wherever you please as she takes her customary seat in this huge badger chair at one end of the table. Now, please, tell me what it is you saw. Tell me what it was that took you from us.
It was Wargveer. Do you know that name?
She frowns. I am not familiar with the name Wargveer. Was there anything else?
He was horrifying, like a fox, but wrong. It was he and his sister. She seemed to have some sort of power to her. Whatever that means, and they had this terrible snake, this giant adder that it made us forget. It made us forget where we were. We came from Redwall. That's where I met my friends. we aimed to defend it, but something went wrong, and Wargvir took us, and he and his sister, they defiled our minds.
And they wanted to know how defended the place was. I remember that.
What did you tell them? It's imperative you tell me what you told them.
I said nothing.
I said there was so many that they would squash them to death.
You see
Like
how
the good people would squash the bad people.
you see the lady gives this long sigh. I see. Well, that explains why there is an enormous horde camped on the beach moving east into Mossflower Woods. It seems, with the knowledge that the Abbey is well defended, they are bringing the largest army they can. The Abbey is not populated by warriors. At most, it has a few champions that defend its gates, but never an army. We're going to have to act quickly.
Well, we need to warn them then.
Yes, that is imperative. I would ask if this is a task that the four of you would feel up to completing. I would send my heirs, but we're going to have to organize a counterforce. I can send my armies around the back of the horde, and we can try and encounter them from behind. But even at the top of our power, there are still not enough of us to make up for all of them. I feel that as well as warning the Redwallers, you are going to have to find some other friends to stand beside you in this.
Well, we have to do it. I mean, Asher, you said you saw us there, right? So
That's
we
right.
got to go.
It does seem that Redwall would be the most sensible direction for you to travel in. As well as, of course, it seems that it was the homes of the two of you originally. At least you can find out who exactly you were and what you did.
How soon can we go?
I suggest you take the rest of this night to rest and regain your strength and digest all of that food you have consumed earlier tonight as well. I do not encourage traveling on a full stomach quite like that. But if you wish to leave at first light, we can ensure that all of the equipment, all of the weapons and armor you need are prepared for you. You as well, my son, you have not changed in size too dramatically, although perhaps those Redwall feasts are a little bit larger than ours, maybe. I will ensure that all of your old armor and equipment is provided for you.
I'd appreciate that. Yeah, a few of my buttons seem to be fighting.
She just smiles at this, and if anything, part of her seems more at peace to know that you have now fully realized who it is you are and what your purpose is. Although, of course, there are lines of concern on her face at this threat. Very well, then. I recommend that you all seek rest whilst you can, for the way to Redwall is not without its own perils, and it will be quite a taxing journey for sure. With any luck, traveling just the four of you, traveling lighter than an entire horde that has to camp, you will be able to reach Redwall with a few days ahead of the enemy. And that might give you time to rally enough forces to keep them at bay until us hares can join you from behind. And hopefully, we will all be in time to save the Abbey.
I mean, we have to. Failure isn't an option.
I have no doubt that you will arise victorious from this task. Of course you will. Why else would the ancestors have set you on this road?
I promise I'll make you proud.
Of course. You must know that you already have. And of the two of you, I know perhaps that you were not born destined to be warriors quite in the way that my son was, but it is plain to see that you are both of courageous stock. I have no doubt that you will both also aid in this victory. Is there anything else I can provide for you before you leave tomorrow?
I'll just do what I can.
I understand.
I'm going to need some more hairs if I'm going to get my cloak finished tonight.
She smiles. Of course, I will ensure that a regiment of seamstresses is dispatched to your aid this evening. Ensure that you get enough sleep, though. I cannot stress how much you will need your energy tomorrow. And she takes on a motherly tone as she says this.
Yes.
And Holt is already like, because he looks nervous, like more like he looks nervous to get going. He's like, not to be rude or anything, but where are we sleeping? I'll get some. Then.
Of course, I will have some hairs show you to the guest quarters immediately. We will also ensure that you have full rations and supplies packed to cover your journey to the Abbey itself. You will be fully prepared in every way that I can equip you.
Thank you, Mum. And he does that weird bow curtsy thing with his waistcoat again and sort of heads off back towards the main hall, if anything.
You see a few hairs have been waiting outside. It says, sirs and Mum, we are here to escort you to your sleeping quarters. Lord Ashfell, sir, your old room is there for you if you would like that, sir.
Thank you. That will do fine.
They kind of
please
bow
ensure
smartly.
Please ensure that the Lady Anastasia has a room befitting her status.
Oh, of course, she will have the most opulent of suites, sir. As one hair to each of you leads you towards the quarters where you'll be staying. And indeed, the rooms are incredibly comfortable. They are fairly simple. You get the impression the hairs of Salamanderstron, whilst there are some fine craftsmen and women amongst them, they do not dress rooms in a particularly haughty or kind of princessy or royalty fashion. It's rustic and very sturdy and very practical, but incredibly comfortable. There are a lot of tapestries that decorate the walls, and you have everything provided that you might need. And most importantly, it is incredibly warm and it is comfortable. And you are each given your own room to bed down for the night. As you can hear throughout the rest of the mountain, feverish activity as preparations are made, and you can hear that orders and rumors are being circulated, and there is talk of where the Great Horde is headed. Is there anything else you would like to discuss or say to each other before you turn in for the night?
Seeing as we we all remember each other now, I have a confession. I'm not a lady. I'm Anna. That's what we all call me. There is no Lady Anastasia. I sometimes played the part of Lady Anastasia if we needed to get in somewhere or do something, but I'm not a lady of high birth. Hedgehogs don't have ladies of high birth.
And the other two of you, this seems kind of obvious now. Like, how did I not kind of get that? And in particular, Holt and Anastasia, whilst the details of what you did and who you were at Redwall are still a little bit foggy. You can't exactly remember what it was you did, or even exactly who your family were, or why you were at the Abbey. You do both know for sure that there definitely weren't any lords or ladies quite like this Badger lady, at least at the Abbey of Redwall.
No, I mean, I've known since the beach that I was a Lady Anastasia, but I thought, well, no one remembers. I don't remember. You guys don't remember. I could remake myself. I'm sorry.
All right.
So it's Anna then.
Yeah, I mean, you know, if you want to call me Lady Anastasia, I don't mind. But yeah.
Anna, can I see? Do you still have your sword on you?
Yeah.
May I see that, please?
Yeah. There you go.
Fantastic. Anna, would you mind taking a knee?
You're going to chop my head off for lying to you, princely lord. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. Don't cry. It'll make it weird. I don't know if this is even something I can do, but I'm going to do it anyway. And he's going to just gently tap the sword on either side, trying not to nick any quills. Anna, I dub thee Lady Anastasia of Salamandastron for your noble valor, for your dependableness on and off the battlefield, and for your incredible ability of subterfuge. You have been a lady from the moment I remember you, and stand a lady now.
And Holt does that weird little curtsy again.
Bow, curtsy, salute.
I'm quite speechless. I don't have to. Do I have to? You know what? I'm just gonna speak in my normal voice around you guys, and then I'll put on airs for everyone else. Yeah. I'm quite speechless. Thank you.
I should die to her more often if it makes her speechless.
I heard that. That's rude.
Holt
Manners.
can't help but really chuckle at that.
Manners.
Yeah, speaking of voices, God knows how I got this accent considering how my mother speaks.
Redwall obviously is a diverse land.
Redwall's in the north.
Well, I have some sewing to finish before the morning. I will make sure I get a good night's rest. I would hate for your mother to be mad at me. She seems quite stern. I shall see you in the morning at breakfast.
Indeed. And Holt, do you have any secrets or anything you want to reveal?
No, I saw what you did, mate.
Fair enough. Maybe you should wash the vest. Just give it a good cleaning.
And he sort of shields it. He's like, why? It's fine. Does it smell? Wait.
Yes. And I have a memory of it being cleaner, and it was resplendent. Just maybe just a quick scrub. That's all I'm saying. You can do it while you're wearing it.
Oh, but maybe I will then. Oh.
Yeah, just get some of the shrimp soup off of it.
Yeah, no, I did that. That's a new one. And he's sort of trying to push it off to the side. He's like, I'll do that before I put my head to rest tonight.
Just make sure we're good to go for the morning.
Yeah, I'm gonna sleep. As he looks mildly nervous and sort of just disappears. He turns around quickly, does the little curtsy again, and then closes the door.
And I would like to visit with my mother again before I go to sleep, if it's not too late.
Yeah, you find that she is she's still in the council chamber and has been talking to various high-standing generals of the Long Patrol throughout the evening.
Mother, may I have a moment?
Yes, of course. What is it you need?
I wanted to show you this shield. I'm unsure how I made it, but I know why I made it.
Sorry, after you.
No, go ahead.
She looks it over with this very approving eye, like the eye of a craftswoman, as she turns it around and kind of admires it from different angles.
And the one thing I want to point out is among the ancestors here that are engraved around the shield, the one that means the most is this one here at the top. And it's actually an image of her. And it's directly from his dream memory of her running into battle with the warhammer and everything. We mentioned our dreams before, and I wanted you to know that the one dream that I had was about you. And I can't tell you how much it means that after all this time, you welcomed me home.
She smiles and seems to not quite know what to say for a few minutes.
And this shield was for you. It was for Father, rest his soul. And I promise that no matter what happens, I will never forget you or my home again.
She puts one of her huge paws on your shoulder. They say that the weapons we craft once we are in the throes of our ancestral visions are ones that we will carry through our lives until we eventually make our way to the Dark Forest. That shield will defend your life for years. I cannot say how long it will be, but the knowledge that I will be there on that shield, doing my part to defend you, means more to me than I can say. And the fact that during your vision you crafted a masterwork here that contains the vestiges of all of the ancestors tells me that they are all looking down upon you and upon your quest as you step forward. It is quite the noble charge. And I am proud of you, before and after, and always will be.
Thank you, Mother. Good night. And he'll just kiss the back of her paw and head
He
towards his room.
brings him in for one last very tight hug before letting him go. Indeed, you should go and get your rest, and if you stay up and go down to the kitchens, I will know about it.
Right. Damn. All right. Off to bed then.
She waves you off with a smile. And I think that is probably the best place to end for this evening before we start the next act of our journey.
I make 4 cloaks in that.
That's a lot of spares.
Oh no, I made one for everyone.
Oh,
okay.
do you want to quickly...
Mine is the most beautiful. It's got, all the embroidery, but everyone else gets a travel cloak.
Did you want to quickly describe what everyone's cloaks look like for them?
They're pretty plain in comparison to mine. I try and pick some colours that match Holt's waistcoat and match the shield colours for Asher, and Gruber I just keep it like black. So that's what he wants.
Stealth more.
Yeah. And then mine is going to be like greens and purples, and it's going to have like a weird motif on it of like I sort of want it to look like a forest. So like the purple is like the night sky, and then there's like forest silhouettes at the bottom in green, and then it's like little silver stars streaking on it. Everyone else's is plain. I ran out of time.
You did have to
Just
get a
like
good
rough
night's
spun. One has like
Wow.
half a hood.
Yeah.
Well, this was awesome. Thank you so much. I love the reveal we've had this section. I'm super excited to see where that takes us next week.
Yeah, sorry, it's a little bit of a shorter one today, but it felt like, rather save the start of the next part of the journey for next time.
When it's the right place to stop. It's the right
Yeah.
place to stop. But we'd love to hear everyone's, whether it's theories, whether it's favorite moments, or what we love about this campaign over in the Discord. Please check out the links that are coming up in chat now. You can find the Discord link there and all of the other wonderful links to YouTube, etc. and stuff we do. Also, a huge thank you to our wonderful sponsors in the form of Bird in the Storm and also Mage Hand Press. You can see their links below. Otherwise, I'm so excited for next week. Thank you so much. Keep evoking emotions, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Real quick, Alice.
Yeah?
I wanted to say happy birthday to Scrat and happy birthday to Angeli.
Happy
Coming out this
birthday!
And you
birthday
vote.
to you.
and to you.
Everyone's birthdays.
Wow. Happy birthday, everyone!
Yay, we're all birthday! Level up, level up.
Everyone levels up. Everyone gains it.
Everyone levels up.
Otherwise,
All right.
we
That
will
was
see
it.
you next week. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.